Hey, what is up? It's Jim, and I'm back with another Tiller tip. And this week we're talking about STERBs. Now, you probably don't know what that means, and that's okay. We're going to learn about it together. But the overarching point today is going to be you gotta avoid them STERBs, yo. Like, that's just so important. So we will get there in a moment. Let me introduce you to the resource where I'm getting this from, a wonderful book called The Grief Recovery Handbook. It helps people move beyond death, divorce, and other losses. This is a wonderful resource. Grief is just a reality in this world. Honestly, it lies in the same vein as suffering and obviously expectation gaps. And we don't like it. It's hard to deal with. It's really complicated. Sometimes it takes a long time to work our way through them, but recovery is really important, and that's what they're trying to help people with. It is a playbook that if you're experiencing grief, this is a great resource to turn to. So this is what I want to talk about. I want to use their words. I don't always use a lot of notes in these Tiller tips. I just know it well enough, but I want to get the wording right. I want to honor Friedman and James as we talk through this. So I want to use the words. Forgive me for looking down some as we get these notes right. But what happens when we experience grief is an incredible amount of emotional energy gets imparted on us. Like, it is overwhelming. Okay. This emotional energy does not usually feel good, and we got to figure out what to do with it. And sadly, I think most of us have incorrectly been taught to store that energy up inside of us, when that's actually really damaging. We need to get it outside of us. We need to process it fully so that it doesn't exist inside of us. This is vitally important. And they give a really great example of where maybe this began to take root in us. It's not necessarily our fault. It's been taught to us. If you think back to elementary school, maybe there was a day where you came home from school really upset. Perhaps you got bullied by another kid on the playground. Whatever the situation is, you burst into tears when your parent asks, "Hey, how was school today?" It's like, "Oh, awful," right? And your parent's like, okay, it's going to be okay. Don't cry. Here, have a cookie, okay? And I think the intentions are really good there. It's honestly like a noble thing on some level to do that, but we are creating a STERB here. I'm going to get to that. What does a STERB mean here in a second? But when we offer the cookie and dismiss the feelings, we are basically teaching our children that feelings can be fixed with food. Now, if it just stopped at food, maybe that would be okay-ish, but it usually doesn't stop at food. We find all kinds of other STERBs. Truly, the deal here is, and what happens when that child receives the cookie is they don't actually feel better, but they do feel something different. And it is a nice distraction. Okay, it doesn't solve the pain, but it does stuff it down, but it feels different enough that it feels better even if it isn't, because grief is not completed. It is not fully processed, and it gives us the illusion that short-term relief can be offered by food or whatever STERB we can find. And this thing might somehow give us long-term relief, but the truth is it just can't. It was never designed to. It just never could. So what is a STERB? A STERB is a short-term energy release behavior. Okay, so it's an acronym, a short-term energy release behavior. And they offer a list of STERBs. Now, this is not a complete list. They own that, but food is at the top of the list. And, sometimes someone that leans into food as a STERB, something to release, like, seemingly that energy, Maybe that doesn't satisfy as someone grows up. Maybe it turns into alcohol or drugs. Their list includes anger, exercise, fantasy, escaping into movies, TV, books, games. Obviously, sex could be a STERB. Shopping, workaholism. The last one really gets me. Isolation. Like, that is absolutely a STERB that I have pursued in my life. And it never gives me long-term relief. It is always short-term. What we need is permanent relief or completion from our grief. That is truly what we need. And if we don't do it, the cost is high. It is as if we put a cork in a tea kettle that is on a really high flame, because there's going to be a lot of pressure that builds up. The cork absolutely represents a lifetime of misinformation that causes us to believe that we aren't supposed to talk about sad, painful, or negative emotions. That's just the furthest thing from the truth. That is the way to recovery. This is how we find completion in our grief, is by camping in our sadness, by talking about this distress, about, shedding off this painful, negative thing. We have to express it. There's no other way. That's how we do it. And they offer a playbook, truly, of how to fully and properly express those negative emotions. I know we don't like it. We way prefer STERBs. But the problem is that STERBs can't add up. They're never going to add up. All these short-term energy release behaviors, they're never going to add up to a long-term solution or recovery. The three things that I think are real about STERBs is that they appear to work. Like, that seems factual. They don't, though. They just mask for a while. They don't actually work. They truly are short-term. That's the second thing. Like, you can't add up enough short-term STERBs to equate to long-term recovery. It's never going to work. That cork that exists, it's going to explode at some point, and it's going to be a mess. I promise you. STERBs, simply, the third thing is they never actually remove the cork. It is expressing those emotions, and we do way better expressing them in a more strategic way, as opposed to the cork exploding and it's just madness, right? Grief recovery will help you remove the cork, and it will give you freedom. Please check out this book if you are stuck in grief. This actually could help you, but I'm going to suggest one other thing, and you already know what that other thing is. It's coaching. Talk with someone about it. I'm not by any means an expert in grief recovery. I have gone through this book. I have experienced it in my life, but I'm never going to be like the consummate professional here. None of the Tiller coaches are. That's not our job, but it's someone to walk with you in it, and a safe person to express these sad, painful, negative emotions with. We can get through this together. We can find long-term recovery, and that's what you actually want. That's what you actually need. We gotta avoid those STERBs, yo. Okay, so maybe start by identifying the STERBs that you've been leaning on, and then maybe let's figure out who we can talk to. Tiller coaches would love to be a part of that. Okay. And maybe it's more. Maybe there's a counselor that we can suggest also. Begin to build a team here. This is so helpful. So, STERBs, now you know all about it. Be on the lookout for them. Try to figure out which STERBs you've leaned on in your life. This could be really helpful. This could change everything, guys. So please don't be shy. Let us know how we can help. I appreciate you checking these out, and I will see you next time. All right. See you then.